Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships, men in relationships. Also, there's a lot of value in this for understanding for women who are in relationships. A lot of information in it all. Now, to understand relationships, you have to understand the journey of relationships through time and how men have changed, how the perception and expectations of women have changed. It's worthwhile watching the whole video, right, to get a real flavour of where we've been, also where we're going as well, and how men and women are being managed. So I'm going to touch on the whole sort of men and women thing, but also as an individual, you in a relationship and the things to watch out for to keep your individuality, right, and your power, your strength as a man, in your life. So here we go. We're going to take a little bit of a look through the story, through history. It's going to be brief, right, but it's going to be worthwhile because you have to have some text in the story, some context in the high story, right? So what we've got, so you've got women, you've got men. Now what's happened is over the last sort of 70 years, right, the expectation on women has increasingly been to do what women do, to a high standard, and be women and be strong women, right? And though also they're expected, have been expected, and there's been a lot of pressure, you know, through society and socially and here to do what men can do as well, right? So there's been a lot of pressure, right, for women to do both what women can do and what men can do, right? Now that's a tough deal because in your capacity, say if this is your capacity, right, as a woman, when you're half in your sort of, you know, your expectations and your power of being a woman. Now there's not been the same thing really to do with men, right? Not socially. The thing with men is to be a man and to be understanding of the woman. That's the thing that's developed sort of since 50s, 70s, 90s. It's sort of developed that way. So to be men, but to be softer men, to understand women's point of view. There's not been the same sort of thing the other way around. Women understanding the entirety of men. In fact, the entirety of men. Men's strength, right, has socially been seen as a bit of a potential weakness, right, and something that's trying to be sort of reduced by softening men. Whereas the strength of men is really great and has driven through some real progress, as strength does, right? That's the thing. Strength is strength. Whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, you have your strengths. They're just different. And it's understanding and appreciating the differences, right, that make a strong relationship. Okay, so we talked about the expectations on women, and there's a lot, right? And men have been increasingly from sort of 60s, 70s, and what we've seen is within the law, right, and socially, there's been big changes, right? The law, you can look through many laws and majority of laws to do with sex, whether it be parenting responsibilities and rights, whether it be the process of how laws are managed. There's no doubt to anyone, to men or to women, if they look at it honestly and the facts of law, that the law as it stands is weighted towards the perception of women. Right? If you want to disagree, you can disagree, but you might be wrong. You have to look at the facts. Parenting and parental rights. An example of that is that in UK law, women are automatically given parental responsibilities, right? Whereas the father is not automatically given parental rights. Little differences, but what you find is that little differences at certain points, right, as you travel through time, have a much wider impact later on. And this is how men and women have sort of been divided because the laws have been made, and then as we've travelled through time, people have become aware and then sort of abused these laws. Socially, it's pretty easy to see. You walk into a newsagent's, look at a newsstand, you'll see layers and layers of magazines in the supermarkets, and you look at all of the, have a look, all of the magazines. All of the magazines are either women, right, or it'll be positive stories about women. If there's a man on the front, it's more often than not a negative story. These are all sort of subconscious sort of layers that are put on. And again, it's to structure the perception of society towards being a benefit to women. Now, I'm all up for intelligent, strong women. I like intelligent, strong women. I also have top respect for intelligent, strong men who don't get played by the system that's being put in place, right? Is there anybody who at this point is saying, oh, right, it sounds a little bit bitter, it sounds like, the parenting thing, what's up, has his children been taken off, or has he had, in relationship? I've been a single father, I have 3 sons, single father, single parent for 11 years. I've worked in education for over a decade, and an avid sort of people watcher into psychology, relationships and how things work. So my perception, right, goes through and beyond time. I don't just look at the big picture. I look at the board that the big picture is drawn on. I look at the room that the board's in, and I look at the building that the room's in, and then I look at the entirety of everything. Right. So socially, it's weighted towards the perception of women. You've got to understand this, right? Women tend to know this, right? They're not rocking the boat because it's our benefit to them. It's a bit like religion, when people follow the parts of religion and the laws that are beneficial to them at the point that they're at. And they're sort of like, yeah, no, I'm religious, but I don't go to church, and I don't do this, and I don't do that, but I do this because it's of benefit to me, and so that's sort of where we're at. The thing about men in relationships is that men are getting played by the law that's been set up for the structure. Socially, we get a bit of a bad deal. Perception. A bit like, it's okay for the father to leave the family, but no, the mother wouldn't do that. No, so it's not correct. So what I'm saying is, men, be who you are. The 2 main things I want to say to you. 1, If you're being played in a relationship, don't be scared to get out of that relationship. Don't allow the structure, responsibilities, and things like that to be used against you. If you're in a negative relationship where you can't be yourself, get out. 2, don't be scared to be single. I've been single for 3 years. I learn, take life at my own pace. One son who's moved out, who travels the world, with his job. 2 sons in secondary school who live with me. It's a very relaxed, easygoing household. We learn, we talk to each other, nice, strong individuals. But also, the soft. This is the thing: is that strong men have no problem with other strong men or strong women, because we've learned our own strength, and we can be soft and be strong. And it's having that capacity, right, and learning about yourself. So there's no, I train when I want to train. I don't answer to anybody. I have no boss. I am my boss, as it should be. I can work with other people, work within other organisations. I don't have a boss, because I have my own power and I say what is right. I don't get ruled by the law, because I have my law. You have to know what's right, know what's not right, and you have to make sure that you stand up for what's right. And I see that as a job as everybody, right? For everybody. So, everybody should do that. Not everybody does, right? And men are being told more to listen, not to speak. Well, I say do both when you think it's right. So, if you're in a relationship, here's a couple of things to look out for. Because relationships, the strategies that women use with men with women engage in, it's a fight for power and control within a relationship. You don't need to do that. If you're strong, you don't need to fight for the control, because you already have your control within yourself. So if you hear things like this in a relationship, if you don't do it, it shows you don't love me. Get out of that relationship. Right? It's mentally and emotionally manipulative, and it's just going to eat away at you. Right? Shouting, right? Don't shout at people. If another man were to shout at you, you wouldn't put up with it. You'd address it. You'd address it if you have the skills and you have the experience. If you don't have the skills and the experience, talk to somebody who does. Right? I can tell you I can show you, I can give you some examples how to handle difficult situations. There's a lot of strong men out there, a lot of men to advise other men. Shouting, you won't put up with it, right? You won't put up with it from your son. If my son's shouted at me, I'd say, well, just a minute, something's wrong here in this situation, right? Which will escalate that. Don't put up with it if you're in a relationship and a woman is shouting at you and screaming at you. It's not okay. It's not okay for women to be aggressively violent to men. And what we've seen through this development and pressure that's been put on women, right, and the responsibilities to do men and to do what men can do, we've seen a development from 50s, 60s, 70s, right, to now, where women have been increasingly becoming violent, right? These are the things who pressure, right, and losing a lot of the femininity, right, and female traits to become warrior women. Now, I think if you've got the capacity for that and you can do it, do it. Right? Be a strong woman. Right? Don't lose your softness as well. There's strength in that. Also, as a man, you're a strong man. Don't be scared to be showing your softer side. If somebody tries to take the mess, right, you're strong enough to be able to go, hey, I was showing you niceness here. I can go to this level, no problem. Right? Don't do it. So the strong can be soft with no worries. Right? But what we're seeing is we're trying to make men more manageable or softer, right? And sort of making men more feminine and sort of the female version of man, rather than being all that a man can be. So if you